Well, Pokimane strikes again. Well, actually this time it was more than just Pokimane, but when does the drama ever end with it just being Pokimane, let's be honest here? But yeah, in the first month of the year of our Lord, 2022, she happened to draw attention to herself twice in a very short span of time, which is, to my understanding, a new record. So why don't we talk about that and laugh for a bit, because this shit is ridiculous, man. Okay, so what I'm going to do is a good news, bad news kind of thing, which I guess isn't the greatest format in this scenario, but that's what I thought of. And I know a lot of people have covered this topic in the last month, but bitch, you're gonna watch my video because I'm going to make the most unbiased video ever. But anyway, let's start with the earlier event in the month. Pokimane woke up one day and had this grand idea of watching episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender, a Nickelodeon property, on her Twitch stream. If you don't know, Avatar is owned by Nickelodeon, whose parent company is Viacom. And unless you live under a rock, you know how strict Viacom is with people sharing personal access to their IPs with hundreds of thousands of people without their consent. So they shut her ass down almost immediately. On January 7th, she was suspended for 2 days. And people talked about it mostly in a negative way. I think this comes down to two specific aspects. The first aspect is how she responded to this 2-day suspension. In my honest opinion, it was less than stellar. I mean, it is very in theme, but very unnecessary as well, especially since everyone who consumes video content on video content platforms knows that some of these media companies are not with that, specifically. And she seems unaffected by this whole thing, which brings us to aspect number 2. There are a lot of people who make content or stream specifically who don't have nearly as many followers or fans in general who would get shut down in the same way she did, if not worse, and it would be harder for them to come back from that. I mean, you've probably seen the way Totally Not Mark got practically his entire channel nuked by Toei. So, in my opinion, one of two things happened in her mind. Either A, she must have forgotten about her status as a top streamer and didn't take that into consideration when making her tweet, or B, she did take it into consideration but posted it anyway because she's, like I said, a top streamer. Why would she have any reason to worry, right? But here's the thing. When shit like this happened on YouTube, it involved a $1 billion lawsuit, which when YouTube won that lawsuit, it prompted what all creators now know as the Content ID system. Twitch has gotten DMCA scares in the past, so the fact that not just Pokimane, but Twitch streamers in general are continuing to do this is just fucking poking the bear at this point. If they keep this up, something like Content ID could potentially be implemented into Twitch. It would fuck up everyone's shit for sure, so I wouldn't want to be the one to risk it and ruin it for everyone. Sure, it might seem like Pokimane's getting a bit of flack just because she's a top streamer, but she's one of the only top streamers who's actually gotten punished for this type of behavior. Okay, so that's the good news, I guess. Here's the bad news. This is going to take a while to explain, but I'm sure you know something about it at this point. So Gideon, a YouTuber known for trolling, decided to end his stream in a fashion that can only be described as a hate raid.
15 minutes and 49. Yo, chat. Guys. Follow her right now, y'all. Oh! Y'all niggas already follow her! Yo, what the? She sees it. Oh, wait, I gotta move her. I gotta move my face cam. Yeah. Fuck, I can't move it, y'all. It fucking froze.
It was so fast.
Just know, she's making a steak ass face. She see it here.
What do I do?
She sees it, y'all. She fucking sees it.
I think I merely buy the best gun in the game.
She sees it. Look at it.
Who is Gideon? Okay.
Who's Gideon? You know who Gideon is.
So, as a newly partnered Twitch streamer, he got his viewers to spam L+ ratio in her chat, which, to be fair, is pretty annoying. It harms engagement in people's streams, and it's really weird to do to somebody who isn't exactly familiar with who you are. At first I thought, well, he is a troll YouTuber, so this is to be expected of him. But why not do it to someone he actually knows, like Aiden Ross or some shit? Aiden loves that shit, by the way. But in an Instagram live stream, he explained that he just didn't like her in particular. So yeah, it can definitely be described as a hate raid. Pretty much harassment under Twitch's terms of service.
Just me personally, I don't like Pokey the person. It doesn't matter that she's a woman. I just don't like Pokey the person. That's just me.
So Pokimane understandably got pissed about this shit happening while she was streaming. So long story short, Gideon got suspended for 2 weeks because of this stunt, which is definitely fair. I mean, come on now. You really should have expected this. Trolling at this caliber isn't exactly what people do on Twitch. It turned into an indefinite suspension later on though. Twitch probably saw what he does on YouTube and just decided that they just weren't going to deal with that, which I think is fair, and the things he does next don't exactly help his case either. He eventually hopped on to Aiden Ross's stream to see if he could help him get unbanned. Aiden's like, well, I gotta see what you did first before I can try to help you. Then Aiden saw that he did this.
Bro, grown ass man. Yo. Hey, hold on. If you're from Pokimane, if you're from Pokimane's chat, and you have a penis, I'm gonna tell you this right now. She is not gonna fuck you, bro. I don't care how much you donated. I don't care how many hours you watch her. She is not gonna fuck you, bro. She has a man's. Bro, you probably don't want to hear this. You probably don't want to hear this. But I'm sorry. I'm going to break the fourth wall. And spoiler alert, she's getting dicked down every night by another nigga. She is getting dicked down. Deep stroked. Fucking balls deep.
Oh, no.
Balls banging on the wall.
No.
Every night. After she hops off stream, and you think she fucking cocoons herself and goes to sleep and then wakes up the next day, she is getting dicked down.
You're fucked. I can't help you, bro. I can't. You're fucked.
Goes without saying that that was pretty unnecessary. Yeah, I don't think there's any coming back from that, being honest with you. Breaking TOS and then talking about Pokimane in a bit of a derogatory way. I'm sure she didn't have the greatest impression of Gideon after that. So at some point, Gideon reached out to Ninja on his stream because, well, you know, he's one of the most subscribed streamers on Twitch. But like, the thing is, I don't know why people think streamers can actually get people banned or unbanned. That's never actually happened before. On Twitch, at least, without somebody actually doing something really obvious beforehand. Ninja says that he'll try to help by calling a Twitch rep, but that's the best he can do.
He's a legend, bro. All right. I sent the text. I don't promise a goddamn thing. Because at the end of the day, what happened happened.
Honestly, the fact that Aiden and Ninja are even entertaining this, knowing that he's been banned, is really bold on their part. By the way, he doesn't actually call a Twitch rep, but at first, Pokimane understandably believes that he did because that's what he said he was going to do in the VOD. Then Gideon gets news of his indefinite suspension from Twitch, and this subsequently sparked a bit of a rant on Pokimane's part, but this sparked a lot of controversy because of what exactly she said during this live stream.
I am so tired of having the weirdest freaking things happen to me behind the scenes, and then I always just deal with it myself. And I'm getting to the point where I'm sick of it. I'm tired of not speaking out in order to protect someone else's reputation or peace of mind, or even my own.
That's fair. I mean, I feel like a lot of the big streamers are getting to that point as time goes on.
So he then changed his Twitter profile picture to a photo of me without makeup.
I don't have any screenshots of that, but man, it's a great way to stoke the fire.
She reiterates that Ninja never said that he would get him a lesser ban and never reached out to anyone at Twitch.
Well, that's clearly not true. If it was, there wouldn't be documented evidence of it happening. Okay, so while I was recording this, Jessica actually stepped down as Ninja's manager, which I felt was a great decision for the both of them because Jessica always finds a way to get him into trouble somehow, some way.
Pokey showed me this DM, and I don't think she needed to leak it, but I don't mind that she did, because boy, is it a more fun Monday because of it. This is the message after Pokey's stream, and this is what is causing the shitstorm today. We are considering everything defamation of character at this point, and we are getting our legal team involved. You are spewing lies to tens of thousands of people. You know Twitch. You claim you know his rep. Then you know from them that Tyler never reached out to anyone. And again, just said to stop the harassment in his chat from Gideon's viewers. We clarified everything. Yada yada yada. We're taking this very seriously.
Well, there's not much defaming happening if all of these things actually happened. You'd lose the case and everyone involved would lose their money. The judge would be like,
what? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And then Ninja sends her this DM, which says, hey, just want you to know, I swear on my grandfather's life who just passed away that I didn't text my Twitch rep, and you are making a big mistake.
How does that work? You have no life to swear on in that scenario. Clearly nobody here is thinking straight. That's not looking good for your boy Ninja, sending what could be seen as a threat to Pokimane.
So I say to her, hi, Jessica. Thanks for reaching out, especially because you must feel responsibility to clarify the situation, both as Tyler's manager/wife and as a woman who understands the position of what it's like to receive misogynistic attacks.
Was that really necessary, Pokey? Misogyny? Of all of the events that had happened this far, this one is the least surprising. I mean, I knew she was gonna dumb all of this down to misogyny. She basically diluted that entire argument with that one sentence. I mean, it might have been a reason in the past, but it isn't this time. The gender card isn't going to work just because you want it to. And I get it, Gideon kind of went with a low blow on Twitch and Twitter, but to make it seem like he and Ninja just kind of quote unquote hate women, kind of totally misses the mark of what you should be focusing on. That's the biggest problem I have with Pokimane's response. They're after you, Amon, not women. You specifically. And I'm sure lots of people, male and female, are thinking the same thing about you, especially since your name always seems to come up in LSF all the time. Because you keep failing all the time. It happened when you took down It's a Gundam, and it's happening to you now. Not saying sexist people aren't coming after you at all, because I'm sure there are, but I think it would be very wise to consider what I just said. Ninja and Pokimane are both known for exaggerating to the max and focusing on things that shouldn't have been focused on in the first place. And of course, everyone who hangs out with Poki is automatically on her side, and they're sticking with this quote-unquote misogynist take. Hassan, Amalangavin, Valkyrie, you can go down the list. It's pretty predictable at this point. I mean, it's okay for them to have a similar opinion because that happens a lot when it comes to these things, but it's just very interesting to say the least. Who knows how long this drama will go on for? Clearly long enough for me to post a video about it. It's going to take forever to edit, but I highly doubt that it's going to be out of season when it goes up. And at the time of recording this video, Gideon and Pokimane made a video seemingly squashing their beef with each other, but to be honest, I'm not entirely sure how factual any of this shit is or how believable any of it could be, because things like this happen all the time, especially when it comes to YouTube and Twitch and Instagram, and sometimes even just celebrities in general. So for all I know, all of this might just be a big old sham to get a lot of publicity on both of their parts. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but I wouldn't put it past either of them. And of course, Ninja, like always, is the biggest loser in this scenario. But it's not going to matter because he can just easily lay low and keep doing what he was doing and just pretend like none of this ever happened. Because that's the easiest thing to do on the internet. It's one of the tactics that works the most, especially with situations like these, and sometimes even much more serious ones. With that being said, every major player in this drama is being a bitch for no reason, and from the outside looking in, it all looks like rich people or famous people who have nothing better to do than to argue about things that will be all but a distant memory in the years that follow. Or just maybe something like this will happen again. Who am I kidding? It's definitely gonna happen again. Well, regardless, I'll be here when it happens.